Jack and Alice reside in a normal American town. They love each other, drive about, get out with pals, and have a good time. Jack goes to work one day with a group of other white-collar professionals, while Alice is preparing for a party with pals. Shelley, the instructor, tells them, like she does all the other admirable wives in town. When Alice gets home from class, she talks to her neighbor Bonnie, who is always berating her kids, and then she proceeds to remove the dried clothing. Alice's mind is filled with a catchy tune that she hums. Abruptly, she sees Margaret, another neighbor, standing in front of her house, completely unaware of her surroundings. As Alice begins to cook, she becomes suspicious of one of the eggs. When she squeezes the egg in her hand, it comes out empty. She crushes the rest. They're all hollow. This activity is interrupted by burnt meat. In the evening, she greets her husband. However, her husband decides to start with another, more pleasant activity. The women unwind by the pool the following day. Alice is preoccupied. She worries about the tune playing in her brain once more. Next comes a visual sequence, a group of wig-wearing women. Later, Alice walks over to a town model and idly runs her finger around the streets. Bonnie picks her up as she exits the town limits. Her kids are serving the beverages now. The males talk about diverting subjects throughout this time. When a signal is given, Shelley greets the newcomers. She is pleased that her husband, Frank, has built something remarkable, a new world. Shelley is interrupted by Margaret, who says that she and her husband shouldn't be present. "We all have the power to change the world," adds Frank. His words are echoed by the guests. Everyone is content here. All of them belong to the same family. Because they are their support system, the men express gratitude to the ladies for helping their spouses. The fun doesn't end there. Alice discovers Margaret, who claims to have nightmares while searching for Jack. She is unable to be present. However, Alice's husband swiftly draws the curtain away from her. In the house, Alice discovers her husband. The couple enjoys some alone time after Jack gives her a kiss. But at the happiest moment, Alice notices Frank grinning and observing their passionate exchange. The women later meet in a mall to talk about their ideal lives and Margaret's plight. Bonnie believes Alice caused the trouble, but Alice feels bad for her neighbor. After all, she was the only one who led her son into the desert. They located her, but the youngster was gone. The topic of discussion shifts to the men's actions. They are allegedly producing weapons, but no one is certain. "It's none of their business," Bonnie interrupts. "Women make things comfortable. They labor too." Alice suffers nightmares at night. However, she begins her daily domestic responsibilities after seeing her husband off to work in the morning. She then embarks on a journey. She claims she merely wants to ride the trolley bus since she is the only person still on it. An airplane suddenly flies toward the mountains before crashing. Although Alice shouts at the driver, he is unable to comprehend her request. He is on his way and cannot stray from his plan, even though she begs him to assist the victims. Alice leaps from the trolley vehicle and sprints in the direction of the mountains. She travels through the desert for a long time before coming to a road. She moves in closer and pauses at a mirror. Alice puts her hands up to the window and passes out. A circle of women dancing in the dark in front of her. A man's voice demands order. People must allow themselves to discover what life should be like. Alice is lying on her bed the following second. Jack is making dinner as she walks into the kitchen. Many of the goods have gone bad, and the dishes are a mess. Alice doesn't comprehend what's going on, and her husband clarifies that she was already asleep when he got home from work. Alice is unable to comprehend. Alice concludes that all she saw was a dream. All goes according to plan the following morning. After dismissing her husband, Alice begins cleaning the window panes. Suddenly, though, it seems to move. The woman gasps for oxygen as it slams her against the wall. The phone rings the next instant, and Alice is at liberty. On the phone, Margaret's voice begs her to go. "After all, you were there. You saw it all yourself." Alice sees women dancing once more. Now, though, it's her and her pals. Margaret suddenly emerges, coming at the mirror from the opposite side, and begins pounding her head against the surface in place of her own reflection. Alice screams, then awakens. As she dashes home, she spots Margaret on her home's roof. The woman slices her throat and falls. The workers who arrive lift Alice up and take the neighbor's body away as she cries in fear. Jack doesn't believe his wife when she attempts to explain things to him in the evening. Margaret is in the hospital. While cleaning the windows, she injured herself by accident. Alice feels bad about her neighbor's need for assistance. She asks him, "What is happening around us? Tell me what you're doing on the project." However, he is unable to discuss it. The hysterics may ruin everything, so he asks her to stop. When Alice sees an advertisement promoting their town at night, she can't help but assume that she's drowning in a pool from which she can never escape. She begins wrapping her head in cling film while cooking in the morning. Alice peels the film off as she tries to regain consciousness, and the doctor who arrives tells the woman it's simply nerve strain. The woman is adamant that her neighbor cut her own throat once more. Jack declines the physician's recommendation to give her medication, saying they will manage. Margaret will soon heal and be able to go back home, the doctor promises them. After leaving without his briefcase, Alice is able to retrieve a folder containing Margaret's personal file, but the text is all smudged and unreadable. The folder is burned by Alice. She consumes wine and witnesses women dancing once more. After that, she ends up in the restroom. Jack brings her a dress since he is upset that they will be late. They have a great evening planned for tonight after he asks Alice to consider becoming a parent. When the couple gets to the restaurant, everyone in the town has already assembled. The audience witnesses a stunning blonde's performance, and Alice once more witnesses Margaret killing herself. Those in Alice's immediate vicinity are unaware of her illness. Jack is asked to take the stage after Frank's speech. Now that the man is joining the senior expert council, he is prepared to congratulate him. He gives Jack a ring as a sign of his devotion. As the audience cheers, Jack does a grateful dance. Alice rushes to the restroom because she can't bear to see this. Bonnie discovers her, puzzled. Alice is interrupted by her friend as she tries to explain anything. Was Alice at the main office? Has she lost her mind? She's behaving like a pampered kid. She is destroying her husband's career even though her duty is to support him. Alice returns to the hall where she restrains herself after witnessing Jack's victory. Jack reminds her in the morning that she needs to thank Frank because they would have company in the evening. Alice smiles as she welcomes the visitors. Abruptly, the man walks into the kitchen and strikes up a conversation with the hostess. Bonnie didn't believe her, which he laments, but she didn't trust Margaret either. He has been waiting for a challenge for a long time. At the table, the guests take their seats. Alice takes the host's seat in a demonstrative manner. Jack sits beside her. The discussion about nothing starts. Alice wonders abruptly why the women in town all come from one or two states and why they all go on vacation to the same locations. Alice keeps talking, despite Jack's attempts to change the subject. They all had similar experiences meeting their husbands on a train. Because they are instructed on what to recall, all of their stories are identical. However, occasionally they are suddenly reminded of the prohibited. Frank is using them all in some way. She is reminded of her nervous breakdown by the smirking man. Why isn't she receiving medical attention? What brought her to the headquarters? She was in the headquarters, and Jack is appalled. She broke the rules, Frank adds. Psychosis is to blame, although she showed herself to him in his bedroom. Alice is appalled by such a horrible deception, but Jack has complete faith in Frank. The woman makes an effort to use common sense with the guests. What's in these things, and where do they come from? Then Shelley takes a stand, refusing to let her husband be made fun of any longer. The visitors go. Frank is dissatisfied because he thought she would be more intriguing. Jack comes home after seeing everyone else. Alice wants him to leave here, anywhere, just the two of them, trying to tell him that he is the most valuable person in her life. Jack concurs. They get into the car and leave the house. Following the husband's apology to his wife, staff members take her out of the automobile and carry her into the night. Alice ends up on a surgical table. She sees visions of her husband. She recognizes the mask-wearing doctor leaning over her. A moment later, Dr. Alice completes the procedure and returns home, where she is met by her jobless husband. Since he was unsure of her preferences, he hasn't made dinner. Alice refuses her husband intimacy because she is exhausted from standing at the operation table for 30 hours. He listens to the commercial for a new simulation while seated at the monitor. It was a bright morning in Paradise Town once more. Alice goes back to her environment. Bonnie greets her with excitement and gives her the most recent information. Alice ignores her friend's anxious expression as she gives her kids hugs. Her spouse leaves for his job. Alice swims, dances, and does housework. As Jack selects a record and hums a song that seems to awaken Alice, she approaches her husband and removes the roast from the oven. Jack enters his residence. His physical attributes are described in the interim. He is fully capable of taking part in the Victory Project alongside his friend Alice. He assumes responsibility for keeping his wife's body functioning normally. Alice imagines herself in bed, bound and tangled in cables. The melody Alice is currently hearing is hummed by the man who lies down beside her. She understands that he has denied her a true life, but he did this to spare her from having to work all the time. To allow them to live as they pleased, Frank built this universe. For this, he works like a damn soul. She is content, though. What about the others, though? Do they actually have hostages? Alice strikes Jack on the head after he gives her a hug. Bonnie discovers her the following instant. She informs Frank right away that Jack is dead. Bonnie acknowledges that she is fully aware of the simulation and that she selected this life for herself in order to be with her living children. However, other women are ignorant. They are going to kill Alice unless she flees. After leaving the house, the woman walks to Jack's car and heads out into the desert. Workers follow her. As cars close in on her, Alice makes a move that results in a crash that kills a doctor. The incident is reported to Frank. He gives the order to catch the woman at all costs. Then, because he is an idiot and has messed up everything, Shelley stabs him with a knife. Alice speeds toward the mountain, but her vehicle stalls close to the top. She keeps walking. Workers come after her, and the dome is up ahead. The woman walks toward it, her assailants only a few paces behind her. Her husband's hands are suddenly on her shoulders, pleading with her to stay with him. Shelley extends her hand. A blow. Darkness. And it's likely that a lot of people would desire to escape from real-world issues by entering the simulation. However, is it possible to make someone joyful against their will?